Welcome to Together Bistro.
What we like to call food for thought.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Together Bistro.
A unique place where we combine our favorite dishes and plates that we create at home with some ideas and food for thought that you can discuss at home with your family or with your friends.
And today we bring you our own version of the traditional, I think it's called Spanish omelette in English.
Tortilla española. This is one of the most traditional, most popular dishes in Spain. Anywhere you go, you're gonna find this as a tapa or in somebody's house. And all Spaniards have their different recipes. We are sharing our unique recipe because it's tortilla española with a twist.
Yeah, the twist is that we are bringing in sweet potato or camote, which is from Peru, and we are mixing them, so kind of like bringing together the flavors from both our countries. We all know Peru is better.
Actually, both potatoes come from Peru. Pizarro brought potatoes from the Inca Empire in 1537 to the Spanish kingdom.
So in theory, this is not a Spanish dish, it's a Peruvian dish.
It did, but
yeah. And eggs also come from Peru, did you know that?
Yes,
That's
but you know what's interesting? It's called tortilla española.
Well, but now it's going to be called, the title here is going to be Tortilla Peruana. So we're going to show you. We're going to show you how to make it.
Let's make it.
All right.
So as you peel the potatoes, and I'm going to start cracking the eggs now, let me tell you, one of the best parts about this project of ours is that we are researching where these dishes come from. And I discovered that even though the potato was brought to Spain by Pizarro in 1537, the tortilla española wasn't created until 200 years later, 250 years later.
By a Peruvian.
No,
living there?
not by a Peruvian.
No.
It turns out that the Spaniards brought a lot of things from Latin America to Spain, to Europe. Tobacco, coffee, and potatoes. But tobacco and coffee were so much more popular than potatoes that Europeans considered potatoes to be a lesser food. And it was initially only given to animals. It was during a very bad economic crisis that was happening in Europe in almost the 1800s. Somebody in Extremadura, which is a region in Spain close to Portugal, that many of the people who traveled to Latin America came from. Somebody there started to use potatoes because they were so hungry in that specific region of Spain in around the 1800s, that someone decided to start using potatoes to feed humans as opposed to animals.
To dogs.
So
or animals, yeah.
They ended up mixing it with eggs, and
which was probably something they had access to.
So this is how the tortilla española came to
nice.
be. So I'm going to start cracking the eggs. We're going to use 10 eggs because of the amount of potatoes that we have.
We have 4 regular potatoes and then 3 sweet potatoes.
So depending on the size of the potato and the size of the egg, you could use 1.5 or 1 per potato, 1.5 per potato. So
yeah,
it's not a specific measurement to this, and the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be slicing the potatoes.
So if you like thinner potatoes or thicker potatoes, you could cut the potatoes like this or in cubes with a knife. It really is up to you. The interesting part, the most important part, is that you have a balance between the eggs and the potatoes where eventually the eggs don't cover the potatoes completely, but that the potatoes are floating, let's say, over the eggs. Well, being Peruvian, potatoes are an essential part of your diet.
Yes, that's why I have a big butt.
I like your butt. How many different types of potatoes are there?
Oh, I'm going to say it wrong, but I will paste it right here when we edit. I know it's on the hundreds, and they've discovered even more now, so.
Yeah, last time I checked, I think there were more than 3,000 different types of potatoes.
Oh, thousands then. I'm a horrible Peruvian.
Lots and lots of varieties. And I'm gonna
Beat them.
beat them. And for that, we are going to use just a traditional fork. You could use anything you want for this, but...
And we'll show you how to beat them because it's an essential part of this recipe.
Yeah, basically you need to beat them till they change color and there's a little bit of foam on them. So that takes about 4 to 5 minutes. If you are not familiar with doing this, your hand will start hurting in about 2 minutes. So that's a good way to measure halfway through. The second it starts hurting, stop and give yourself 2 more minutes after that. I've been thinking that, what inspiration comes from mixing two potatoes that traditionally are not mixed. As far as we know, we are the first and only people in the world who make this tortilla española.
Tortilla peruana.
Yeah. And it's literally because we are mixing Hazel's background from Peru and my background from Spain. It's one of my favorite poets from Spain is Gustavo Adolfo Bécquer, and he comes from the Romanticism era. He was very romantic in his poems, very,
Is that what you are so
very
romantic?
sweet, yeah, that's right. Gustavo Adolfo Bécquer said, "It's incredible those with the power of imagination because they can create worlds out of nothing."
Oh, I love it. And just so you guys know, I don't know what quote he's going to throw into the mix of this show. So that's the surprise element. I love it.
And I think it's exactly what a tortilla española is, right? You mix two things that were in front of for 250 years, in front of a lot of people in Europe. And all of a sudden, one person realizes, what if I mix these two things? And
Who was
today,
it, you or me?
What? Who? Me?
No.
Me.
I thought about it.
It was me.
I
And
think it was me.
And I just think that imagination is just like that, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, without any specific reason, your mind asks you to do something that nobody has ever done before.
Did we come up with it while we were traveling?
No, I think it was in New York.
No.
When you were doing your recipes,
Oh, yes.
I think we came up with the idea. So we want our kids to use their imagination as much as possible.
And right now, I think what we're being faced with, which I know a lot of people, from speaking to other parents and friends, devices are being used as a pacifier, which means imagination is not being used. So the minute they get bored, then immediately, and I don't think it's only them, us as adults as well, we tend to just, go either Instagram, watch the news, whatever it is that can appease that feeling of boredom. And I don't think that's exactly what the quote is saying, but the way that I interpret it is that creativity and imagination are two key ingredients to opening up a new world, right? He uses the word world.
I think that what I feel is that when you are idle, when you have nothing to do, when you are bored, when your brain is not thinking about what you're going to do next or entertain with a movie or a show, and you find yourself looking at the world and saying, what happens if I mix potatoes with eggs? And nobody before 1798 had, to our knowledge, had done that.
Yeah.
And that, I think we see those happy accidents when you are looking at the world with nothing to do.
To create a new world.
To create a new world. That's what we all want, I think, and we are constantly pushing our kids to find those moments of I have nothing to do, which to them almost feels like a crime. Like
And we always say, oh, that's awesome that you're bored, and they hate it. So what can we do? What can people do? So maybe as you're making this dish and you're hopefully using this quote to unpack with your family or your friends, what are some good examples of using your imagination? I mean, I can just brag a little bit because I just finished writing a book, so I think my imagination was, or that creativity was kind of dormant or idle. And I think that was a great way. I have learned that writing is probably one of the best exercises to imagine, to reach corners of your being and your soul that you were not even aware of. Well, what's another example of using your imagination, or maybe imagining something so profound that you can create a
I think
world?
nothing like a white page with some crayons or a pencil. You can either write, you can draw, you can fold the paper. Like when you just look at the world with no intention and no bigger purpose than just taking it all in and letting your brain play with the ingredients.
Yeah. And bringing them
To
all together
create, to me, is breaking an egg
and seeing what else
in
you
a
can do.
metaphorically, as a metaphor of what you can do with life is break an egg and see what's inside.
Opa.
And we flip it. Okay, so in just one confident motion, we
Opa. Ole.
all the cooking we've done. It was 8 minutes on one side, 4 minutes on the other. I think I had the fire way too high. It came a little bit darker, but the thing with a tortilla this thick is that you know that the inside is not as cooked as
It's
the outside.
moist.
So now we are ready to cut it and put it on a plate, and you ask for a pincho de tortilla.
Don't ever ask for anything with the word pincho in Peru. Just saying.
And this is about what you will get in any bar in Spain.
Oh, nice. Look at that. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation, that if you decide to make this dish, you use this quote to explore and unpack and bring thoughts from whoever's enjoying the food with you together. So we will see you next week.
Thank you
And
so much for being here.
Thanks for stopping by. All right, let's eat. Good job.